What's going on, YouTube? It's okmall, and today's guy we're covering the rest of the merchants, and I mean the rest of them. Every other merchant available to you inside of Brynn that you may or may not know about. And I'll cover that based on the different quadrants or different locations here in Brynn. And we'll start off obviously in the Mint Square, which is the first location you typically walk into when you get to Brynn right after the caravan. I want to cover every single merchant that I didn't cover previously and just kind of cover what they offer, because maybe you'll know about them and maybe you won't. Right off the bat, the first one you can see here is actually just a vegetable vendor. So if you're looking to pack up on some supplies before heading out to another area, you can stock up on some vegetables. And for reference, this is the amount he has at Respect. And that's going to be correlate with everything else that we every other shop that we go into. But yeah, you can stock up on some vegetables here. He is a vegetable trader. Go figure. Over here, you'll notice we have another shop called Verkren's Printing House. Inside of here, there's another vendor, and this one primarily sells in books. So we talk with him, ask him to show your goods. This is where you're going to see a lot of tier 2 books, Armored Combat Treaties 2. Now, these are all on sale for $11.40, but keep in mind, it's only $11.40 because we're at Respect level in Brynn. These are typically going to be 1,500 gold when you first come down here. Super expensive, in my opinion, for only a tier 2 book. Typically, you're going to unlock anything tier 2 related by level 10. Absolutely ridiculous that it's this priced. I would expect those prices to be more like closer in line with a tier 3 book, but we can't buy those yet. Another good thing about this vendor here in particular, he actually does buy valuable items at a pretty high rate. If you hover over, his trade availability is like 5%. Armor is a -9 for supply. So yeah, you can technically get more money off of this, which is pretty neat for a decent amount of money that he has here. The next vendor up will be this one down here. I think it's something Emporium. I can't remember the name. Trading House of the Azure Thread. I was completely wrong. This is where the Elven worker is going to be. Now, instead of having to wait for the dock worker to rotate, this guy does trade in Elven goods. So if you'll notice, again, we're at Respect. So he's got Elven Brigadines. He's got Orient Long Axes, the Elven Long Axe. Elven boots, basically Elven related items. Elven mud, that's going to be for restoring a little bit of your vigor. Elven ice wine, so some really good stuff in here of the Elven nature. From there, we'll go down into the Mint Square, and this is where you're going to see 4 vendors. We have a vendor here. This is going to be the fruit trader. Again, if you're looking to stock up on some fruits. This one's pretty straightforward. It's the meat vendor. Pretty straightforward. And honestly, I should start buying these more often, just because smoked ham, even though it's you know, eating it raw like it is, it'll decrease your immunity. Slapping it together with food that's you know, to make meat omelets or anything like day Taylor stew, something that requires meat, this is a pretty good place to grab up some of those sausages and smoked hams. Next one up would be this lady. She's a cheese vendor. You notice she got butter, and she got milk. This guy here is going to be our healing supplies vendor. So he's got just about everything from the antitoxins, leeches, healing salves, all the way up to some vivifying essences, as well as an apothecary box if you're looking to upgrade your caravan a little bit. And this guy, this is just a general goods merchant. His stock randomizes each and every single day. So what he has available is going to be quite random. But yeah, you can still get some pretty decent deals here if there's nowhere else. And being a general goods merchant, he more or less takes things at different rates. If you look down, he has like a markup on charcoal and on shipments of timber, you know, so it's not terrible. But otherwise, yeah, so there's that guy. I think where the next one would be, I would say inside of here. This is just an innkeeper, pretty straightforward, but you can go in here and there's 2 people to buy from. You got your main guy, which sometimes disappears. Actually, everybody disappeared. That's weird. What? That was weird. Anyway, show me your goods. This guy will have obviously a bunch of food. as well as Jibine roast. When you're at, I believe, respect, he can sell you a new recipe. The other one to purchase from would be this lady here. Wow, Elven Mud. No kidding. Does she always have that? It's news to me. Anyway, so that's the other inn here. Now, as far as I'm aware, those are the only vendors located here in the Mint Square. Obviously, we have already covered the bank. I don't need to really go into that into too much more detail. Next up, we'll head down to the Brynn Guild Quarters. Now that we're at the Brynn Guild Quarters, again, we've already covered the bailiffs in the previous guide video, so we don't have to cover that, but we will cover the jewelry shop. It's located right here at the tippy top of the guild quarters. Let's hop on in. This guy, as you may have guessed, sells in jewelry based items. Again, being that we respect, this is what he has to offer. Tier 5, tier 4, basically anywhere from tier 2 on tier 5 related jewelry items. He also buys them at a pretty high rate, but usually doesn't have enough coin to buy all of your valuables. But if you're looking to sell here and sell some valuable jewelry based items, this is usually a pretty good markup. As you can tell, gold, silver, gems are 25%, 15, and 20. But if you're like me and you get just a little bit too lazy to come down here and wait for him to reset to restock his gold supply, you can sell it elsewhere. It's not that big of a deal. Moving on. One other thing I want to note before we move on away from the guild quarters, if you talk to these guys here, the ones that are currently working, and you ask them, they can actually repair your gear. And so you hover over, they repair items, but mainly in the leather category because they are in the leather working workshop here. If you move on down to the next area, this is going to be the carpenter's workshop. You talk with one of these guys that will repair anything wood related. And the same thing happens over here in the blacksmith quarter. This guy will repair metal related items. Inside of this inn, we have another vendor. Again, just an innkeeper, but if you hover over, you'll notice that she also carries or buys barrels of beer at a 1.38x. Now, I don't want to make this about commodities and selling and buying, but I just want to inform you guys of the merchants and kind of like hover over what they can do. Moving on. The next area of Brynn we're going to be covering is called the dock quarters. So there is this gentleman here. He does sell with some fish, and it looks like he also has some nets to sell, but looks like primarily fish. So if you're looking to make some fish related food, you can always stop on in here. And as mentioned in a previous guide, this is where you're going to find the rotating dock merchants. We don't need to talk to those guys. If you were watching my videos, you already know. This is the other general goods merchant. And again, he has a rotating stock of supply that is going to be random, and just it's a large pool of weapons and armor and different items that he can get because they're general goods merchants. But as always, you can hover over here and kind of show you what their wants and desires are when it comes to buying and trading. Moving on from there, we've already covered it, but this is going to be the I can't remember what this shop is called. It's like, yeah, Alchemical Emporium of Curious Goods. That's where we can buy more mage gear. We've already covered it before. Don't need to cover it again. Next shop up would be inside. It's just going to be an innkeeper. Again, they have their own wants and desires. So we'll just kind of cover this briefly. Let me talk with them right now. Show me your goods. And again, you get food supplies. You also can get a herb roasted fish recipe. We look on down, barrels of beer, crates of wine, and pail of cider are kind of the wants and desires he has. Moving on. Now we walk on past where the fence is located. Again, that's a guide. We'll cover that later. The last location is going to be the Brynn Old Towers section. Where I'm at right now is at the bottom left of the screen here. And there's a shop called the Bakery. You can head inside. The bakery is also going to carry some recipes for us. Oh, my apologies to the wrong person. But no recipes, but he does buy sacks of grain at quite a high. I think he's the highest person that buys grain at 1.38x. Pretty cool stuff. But you can buy food, bread related items from him. The other one, I think this is like a general goods vendor. Oh, and before we head over to him, there's this lady who also sells in vegetables. So if you've already bought enough vegetables from the other guy, she also trades in vegetables. Moving on. Let me look at this. I can't remember what it was called. Grocery store. That's what it was. Let's head inside. And you'll notice this guy's got like, I think, 4 recipes for fondue, honey crepes, oyster chowder, and harpy omelet a la Brynn. So yeah, you can pick up some meats here. You can pick up, food and salt and such. The next merchant will just be another innkeeper, the Watchtower Tavern, located up here towards the entrance of this quarter of Brynn. So we go in here and talk with him. Again, it's the same idea. I'm pretty sure his wants and desires are basically the exact same as the inn in the dock. But yeah, here we look at barrels of beer and crates of wine, roughly the same. But yeah, just to buy some food. And we only have, I think, 2 more merchants that are, buying and sellable, right? So we have this guy, which is Vernam's family pawn shop. You can buy pretty good gear here, but there's going to be a heck of a markup, and it's usually broken. So this is kind of what he has right now on offer. If you look demand-wise, he does buy gold, silver, and gems about the same rate for the looks of it as the jeweler does. Very interesting. But his supply, if you look, weapons are at a plus 9% increase on markup. While he does buy gold and silver and gems at a decent rate, keep in mind just buying stuff. But for 4,543, if you have enough repair kits, that might be actually a discount. So it is kind of worth stopping into these vendors just to see if there's enough of a discounted rate on broken gear that makes sense for you to purchase it. And the really cool thing about the pawn shop is that he will unlock tier 2 to tier 5 at Amity. You don't even have to wait until respect. And that holds true with the other vendor, who's a secret vendor, quote unquote secret vendor, the Fence. He will, once you get him unlocked, you just need to get Brynn up to Amity, and it'll unlock tier 2 to tier 5 gear versus tier 2 to tier 4. So you do not need to max out Brynn to take advantage of their guys' inventory stock. The very last vendor I'm going to cover real quickly, and again, this is less of a guide and just more of a, did you know these folks are here? Brynn, he's the one that's going to give you that recommendation letter. I think in the previous video we talked about the Brynn bailiffs. So Brynn, he sells stuff too, if you didn't know. His stock and inventory is a much less than everybody else, but it still rotates and has random gear inside of it. And you can tell he does sell some tier 5 stuff when Brynn is at respect. So you can stop on in any one of these merchants and just to see if there's something that you want. All right, now that we've talked to everybody inside of Brynn, there is one last area to check out, and I almost forgot about it. The Brynn outskirts. Technically part of Brynn, so let's go show the vendors off over there. So right here, we're located just on the Brynn outskirts. There's a guy to talk to. If you're looking to pick up some fodder, you can always come over here to grab it, as well as rope and horseshoes. This guy also carries, I don't know if he carries all of them, but I know for a fact he carries the tier 3 horse reins. So if you're looking for him, come to the stableman. He will definitely have that available for you. And that should do it for all of the vendors inside and outside of Brynn. On top of Old Tot just being a garbage collector that you can sometimes buy things from. But keep in mind, he's got no cash. So you're pretty much just going to be buying things and not really selling things to him. But that should do it. So if you guys did find this guide useful, maybe you learned something new, maybe it's old information for you. But either way, I hope you had found some use for this. And if you did, please like, comment, subscribe, share this channel with your friends and family. And I'll catch you all next time. Bye.